Let's move on to another policy issue here. After the leak of the president's January call with Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto this week, you told my colleagues this about the president's promise to build a wall and that Mexico would pay for it. Let's watch together.
I don't think anyone during the campaign seriously thought that Mexico would pay for that wall, even though we all desperately believe in the wall as a metaphor for border security.
Nobody believed Mexico would pay. The wall was a metaphor. Do you believe that the crowds at President Trump's rallies believed when they were shouting, build that wall, they were supporting a metaphor instead of a traditional brick and mortar cement wall?
Well, there's an element in the border where the wall, brick and mortar wall, is appropriate. There are also other elements that need to be brought to bear on policing the border, like technology. What I said during the campaign, and those very people you're talking about, I think understood that we need to combine the wall with technology, and we need to do all that we can do to secure the border. There are areas where the Rio Grande, west of Brownsville, is very narrow, that might lend itself to a wall better than places where it's wide. There are places where there's private property which don't lend itself to a wall right on the river, but lend itself to a wall elsewhere. And then across the land border through New Mexico and Arizona, it lends itself to a wall all the way across.
True. And you know what you're offering to this conversation is nuance, but we didn't hear that from the president. In fact, let's remind people of what the president said. We've heard you say that this was a metaphor. Here's what the president said the wall would be.
And it's going to be a real wall. It's going to be a high wall. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a wall that works.
It's going to be made of hardened concrete, and it's going to be made out of rebar. And we're going to set them in nice, heavy foundations.
In order to get the wall started, Mexico will pay for the wall.
On day one, we will begin working on an impenetrable, physical, tall, powerful, beautiful southern border wall. And Mexico will pay for the wall. I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words.
And you know what? Let's follow this up with your own promise to voters when you ran for the seat you currently hold. You're in the construction business. You appeared in your own ad with a safety vest and a construction helmet there, a hat. Here's what you said about the wall.
I'm Francis Rooney. I work in the construction industry, so I know a thing or two about building walls. In Congress, I'll fight to build a big one on our southern border.
So is this metaphor talk now just an excuse for the inability to get the wall started in the first 6 months?
No, I think, first of all, like I said, there are areas where a big wall will be part of the solution. There are also areas where we need something different than a wall, or we need a wall that's removed a bit from the Rio Grande. But the metaphor part is that there's a broad-based feeling of frustration and insecurity all across our country over what's happened with terrorism and people crossing our border and our broken visa system, that half the people in this country came in legally and overstayed, that we need to fix. That's what I mean about the metaphor is a small word, wall, for a big problem, border security and individual security.
The president also has said before the inauguration and since the inauguration that Mexico will pay for the wall. Do you believe that?
No, I don't think Mexico will pay for the wall. I think he was maybe speaking in a campaign hyperbole or whatever, but I don't think Mexico will pay for the wall.
He was speaking in what? I had a producer in my ear. Could you repeat that? He was speaking in what?
It could be just campaign words, you know.
But campaign words are the basis for which or on which that voters selected Donald Trump. So are we now supposed to dismiss the promise that Mexico will pay for the wall? That's why potentially some people voted for him.
Well, I don't know if they voted for him because of who was going to pay for it, or they voted for him because they wanted to see our border strengthened and bring security back to the American people. That's what I get back towards this broader metaphor idea.